How you doing? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Thanks,
Ready to rock and roll? Julian, you're it, huh?
so far away.
I know. All right, good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. We'll try to touch on not only what we saw for the CompStat period, but we'll touch on some stuff we saw throughout the year. There'll be a point in time when we'll be at the commission meeting in, do you know what the date is? Do you know what the date is?
February.
In February, where we'll go over comprehensively what 2023 looked like. 2023 was actually, in my opinion, I think we had a really, really good year out here. And obviously, we almost had a really bad year on December 20th, and we'll talk about that as well. So I want to introduce Lieutenant Omar Bello, who's the executive officer out here. Captain Powers couldn't be here today, and he's going to take us through what we saw for this CompStat period, and we'll talk about our Christmas surprise when the kids went on school break, what they decided to do based on a video. So it's all yours, Lieutenant.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
I'd like to start off with an incident we had yesterday at Galaxy Middle School. We received a complaint that a possible student on campus with a handgun. Our response to that incident was fantastic, under 4 minutes. We had deputies on the scene. We had that kid snatch it up out of the cafeteria. We handled the incident. We checked all surrounding areas, checked the cameras. We were unable to locate a firearm.
We can't hear you on the TV.
We were unable to locate a firearm, and subsequently that juvenile went to the resource center. Moving on, aggravated assault, 554 Cloudcroft. Deputies responded to the above location for the report of a shooting into a dwelling. This was picked up by CID.
We responded there. This is not going to be an aggravated assault. This was a New Year's Eve party where people drinking alcohol decided that, you know, instead of fireworks, they're going to start shooting guns and accidentally hit somebody's house, the street over. Our crime scene detectives responded there with our CID detectives. We recovered shell casing. We interviewed a bunch of partygoers who claimed that they invited other people that the homeowner didn't know, and a lot of people left the party before we got there. We recovered the shell casing and entered them in our databases. This is still an ongoing case.
Sheriff, for our DV aggravated assaults, we were 3 for 3. One of note was on 626 Copper Beach Boulevard. V1 D1 engaged in an argument. D1 brandished an AR-15 to several of his family members. He was ultimately charged with ag assault ×5. We also submitted an RPO on that individual.
Tell them what an RPO is, so everybody knows what an RPO is.
Risk protection order. We file it with the court so that that person's not able to possess firearms, and we are also able to take their firearms from them. DV simple assaults, we were 32 for 32. I'll continue on to page 9. Recovered stolen vehicle, 1382 Howland Boulevard. This is the one where deputies responded to MIMS in response to a vehicle fire. Once they got with V1, he told deputies that he parks it at the LOI 1382 Howland at his business, and if it's not there, then it must be stolen. This was CID's.
This is an ongoing case. It looks like somebody stole the gentleman's vehicle and they ended up dumping it in MIMS. The area does not have any surveillance. The parking lot where it was parked, we're still trying to collect the video surveillance there. We show the vehicle leaving the county from State Route 415. Fire marshal responded. They don't have any leads, but our detectives are following up with this.
Our next recovered stolen vehicle, 2571 Trevita Drive. This is going to be the first of several of the Hyundai Kia thefts that we had. Can I get the next slide, please? So I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm going to group these all together and turn this over to Sergeant Almazi to speak about these.
Yeah, this shows the power of social media for better or worse, so to speak.
For worse.
Yes. So, couple of years ago, there was a video on TikTok where somebody exploited a fault with Kia and Hyundai vehicles and how to start them without a key, and then it spread like wildfire.
Throughout the country.
Throughout the country. And this is a nationwide trend that's been continuing since 2021. There's 1,000% increase of Kia thefts from 2021 to 2023. A lot of cities are getting hammered with these thefts. And I read recently in an article that State Farm in certain states and cities will not insure Kias or Hyundais of certain year and model. Moving on to our
Hold on one second, Julian.
Thank you. Are there any particular model years that I would be over? Are there any particular model years that we should look out for?
From 2012 and 2017, a lot of these Kias have a faulty software that needs to be upgraded.
On the TV.
All you need to do is go to the Kia dealership. They'll update the software. All you got to do is go to your Kia dealership, and they will upgrade your software. They even give you a steering wheel lock for free. So that's all you got to do.
And just so you know, all of this, when we get into this, all of these suspects are as young as 12 and as old as 17. And they decided, and some of them have no criminal history, they decided during Christmas break, after watching the TikTok video, won't this be cool to go out and steal Kias? And then when they turn it off, they can't turn it back on, so then they go steal another car. So, go ahead, Julian.
So, during the Christmas break, we had about 16 of these Kia thefts or attempts, because a lot of them are, like the sheriff said, they're kids, 12 and 13-year-olds, so they don't even know how to drive yet. Out of those, we arrested about 8 juveniles. We've cleared 7 of those with arrest. We towed all the cars to our evidence. We processed them. There's a lot of fingerprints that we collected. We're going to compare all those to those kids we arrested. We know that all the ones that we haven't cleared yet are committed by the same individuals. We just have to tie them to them.
Carl, you want to talk about the little cherubs? And in some cases, the parents did cooperate and let us get into their cell phones where we could actually pinpoint where the cars were stolen from and dropped.
As the sheriff stated, the youngest is 12 and the oldest is 17. In some cases, this was the first arrest, and a couple of these kids were also in our civil citation program, but by stealing a car, they picked up a felony charge, which negated their being in a diversion program, so they now have criminal records.
What else you got?
We only have a couple that were not related to them, and these individuals were not from Deltona. They came from Sanford. They came here in a stolen vehicle. They didn't steal any Kias. There was a vehicle that had the keys left in it, so they stole that one, and it was recovered in Sanford. Just wanted to add that all the vehicles that these juveniles took, we recovered all of them, so there's no vehicles out there outstanding.
Yeah, I think, when it first started, Lieutenant and the captain were able to get your crime suppression team to do nothing but work with the detectives all of these Kia thefts, and eventually were able to identify all of these suspects, who their co-defendants were. And I said, in the case of the 12-year-olds, the parents allowed us to actually access the phones, because when they were interviewed, they said, we stole, but we can't tell you where we stole them from. But
That's correct. That's another issue we're having. A lot of these kids, they walk around at night, sometimes walking around for a mile and a half. So it's not easy to, even for them, they're willing to confess, but they don't know what cars or where they stole these cars. And we can't just charge them.
Okay.
So that was Trevita Drive. That's Kia theft. The next one, East Lombardy, as well as Fort Smith Boulevard. Those are Kia thefts as well. 191 Howland. Moving on, 3000 Lake Helen Osteen Road at the Dollar General. This is a burglary. Overnight, unidentified suspects forcibly created an opening in the front wall of the Dollar General store. They forcibly opened the safe and made off with an estimated $1,000. This was CID.
So when we got this case, we didn't have much to go on. We did have another one, a similar one in September, which was 3 months prior to that, which was very similar. The same MO. They cut through the wall. They cut the alarm off. They cut the surveillance cameras off, and the suspect was there for over an hour, just working through the safe, and he walked away with a couple $1,000. So we did have a lead from the first one, where we got a device that we located through Google geofence. We didn't have any further leads at that time, but on the second one, we were able to tie that device and that suspect that we had to the second one. And intel sharing was crucial on that one, because we found out that same suspect was stopped a couple of months prior to that by Seminole County, and when they searched his vehicle, all the tools that we saw in the video surveillance were in the trunk of this vehicle. He lived in Orange County. He lived in Orlando. We got with their narcotics unit. They started doing surveillance. We had an out for an arrest warrant based on all the evidence we collected, and a search warrant for the residence. They helped us tremendously. It was actually the day before Christmas Eve, and they were there helping us throughout the day. We served the search warrant. We found all the tools, every single piece of equipment that he used in there, inside the store. We charged him. We arrested him on both of them. Narcotics, a gun was recovered, and this gentleman is a prolific criminal. He had over 20 felony convictions. I'm hoping that he's going to stay there for a long time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully he won't get out for a long time.
Sheriff, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Going back to Kia, I noticed that there's, going back to the Kias, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
16
8.
total.
8 within walking distance. Was that person caught? Was he a resident of that neighborhood?
All the kids are residents except for a handful of them were men from Sanford who came in to steal a car. Every single one of them are Deltona residents between the ages of 12 and 17.
But do you know if they were residents of that particular area?
So we had two zones that were affected, 42 and 43, and they all lived around that same area there, which was walking distance
Right.
from each other. Like I said earlier, we have processed all these vehicles. Once the fingerprints come back, we will be able to tie the ones we haven't cleared yet to these same individuals, but they live within walking distance. If you can picture Lombardi Park,
That is exactly why I brought it up. It is off Lombardi Park.
so all of them meet there, they know each other from school, and this is where they watch that video on TikTok, and it's a challenge. You know, once a juvenile does it, the other one says, okay, I'm going to do it too, and I'm going to show you. And they send each other pictures of them driving the car or in the car, stealing the car. But yeah, they all live in that area there.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll never get through this if you let us finish, and then we could ask questions. If we wanted that. But no, I let the other guys go. Go ahead. It's all fair, all fairness.
Okay. I'm wondering if some of these issues could be resolved with the city pushing forward a neighborhood watch program. We don't have that being pushed. Most of what I see on what you're discussing, I'm finding on Next, on Facebook, and on door cameras. And I'm not getting a lot of information as a citizen regarding some of these issues unless I'm watching Next, Facebook, or door cameras. The next issue I wanted to know is about the school violence. My grandson, I had custody of him for many years, and the middle schools are rife with school violence. I think that perhaps it might just be the boys coming into puberty and the girls in their drama, but the school violence in this community is off the charts and is contributing to, in my opinion, a lot of this illegal activity. So those were the things I wanted to address on just the topics that were discussed so far. And secondly, the third most important part, thank you all so much for everything you do. You know, the deputy shot and you guys putting your life on the line every single day for all of us is so very, very much appreciated. And you may not hear that often enough, but I really do want to tell you thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. Any neighborhood that wants to start a town watch, if they reach out to us, we will train you on what you need to do. So I don't know how you want to do it, but normally in other parts of the county, it's neighborhood specific. You know, every neighborhood's different. For schools, I will let our lieutenant back there, who just walked in late, talk about what's going on in the middle schools. Just so you know, school security is at the feet of the superintendent. It's not, it doesn't fall on us. We assist them, and last week, for the first time ever, 7 middle schools picked up 7 SROs in there because of what you said, because there is an increase in incidents in middle schools. Now, Lieutenant, I'll let you go from there.
Yes, sir.
You're going to need the mic. You're going to need the mic.
Yes, we just started adding 7 new deputies to the middle schools all throughout the entire Volusia County. They're starting the new DARE program coming up, which is going to be in elementary, middle, and high school, which hopefully will hit some of these teens where they need it the most. Did you have any other questions in reference
Well, I would also say that one of the things that we saw was vaping. Well, I was going to get into this, but since we're already there, vaping is huge in high schools. So they put vape alarms in the bathrooms to try to cut down on it. So what happens next? Vaping is off the chart now in the middle schools. So what happens next? Right now we're dealing with issues in the elementary schools of 9-year-olds vaping. And I bring up the vaping because we run a juvenile assessment program, and all these kids that get in trouble, part of their probation and everything is they have to take a urine test. Carla, what are the results in those that we're getting back on those urine tests?
We're finding fentanyl, meth, and morphine, oxycodone, and amphetamines in their vapes, because what's happening is they're buying the vapes off the black market, so they don't know what they're getting inside of the vapes. And the kids will tell you when they hit the vape, they hit it differently. And going back to what the sheriff said with 9-year-olds, we had a 9-year-old who bought a vape for $30 off the street and brought it to school and vaped in the bathroom. So we're seeing it at a very young age now.
And when you go to this center, you're assessed, you get arrested, so you obviously get processed, but in that center are all the social workers that deal with juveniles, substance abuse, anger management, mental health issues. So the kids aren't talking to us, they're talking to counselors, and they're saying, hey man, I'm just vaping, not that it's bad enough, I'm just vaping THC oil, but part of that is they have to take a urine test, and that's what's coming up. We had a 15-year-old who went out in the bathroom in the Land High. She was vaping, and it turned out there was fentanyl in that vape. And then we had a 17-year-old, the Land High School student, die of an overdose, who was buying drugs from his classmate. So that's the problem, is they think it's a classmate. The classmate would never sell me bad stuff. Well, the problem is classmates buying stuff off of somebody, you know, who's not reputable, let's say. So that's the issues. Omar?
Moving on to a burglary at Deltona High School. 4 subjects entered the school during the night and vandalized pictures. Video surveillance collected showing 4 subjects wearing hoodies, masks, and gloves entering the high school. This was CID.
So it looks like they were either playing a prank or they were bored that night, but they jumped over the fence. It's a program. It's called an FFA program. They opened the cages for the animals. They drew something on a small painting that one of the students had made, and they left the school. The video that we have is not great. The school staff is trying to see if they can identify these kids.
So needless to say, they were clearly bored during Christmas break, between kids and breaking into school and vandalizing the school. Do you have the video, by any chance?
Oh, we do have the video. It's not, like I said, it's not a great video, but we can play it.
Okay.
It's very pixelated, like I said. That area there doesn't really have video surveillance, but this is them entering the school grounds.
No alarms, no nothing, right?
No alarms. That area, it's not even covered by network, phone network, wireless network, so we don't know if there's any devices they carried with them.
Right. Okay. You know how much damage did they say was caused?
There was no damage. They didn't cut any locks or anything like that. Like I said, the only damage was a painting that one of the school students had made. And they drew something over it.
Okay.
Burglary at 546 Bell Tower. V1 discovered the rear passenger window smashed and on the ground. Only his house key was removed from the vehicle. A neighborhood complex captured a black Volkswagen passenger car enter and leave the complex. This was with CID.
So this is the one of 2 or 3 that we had that are not related to the other car breaks or the Kia thefts. These 2 individuals came in a stolen car that was stolen out of Sanford. They were able to steal one car. It's a Honda that had the keys in it that we recovered in Sanford. They didn't take anything else from the other 2 car breaks that they did. The car was not processed, unfortunately, when Sanford PD recovered it, so we don't have any fingerprints. We have video of them. They're wearing masks and gloves, so there's no way to identify them by fingerprints or facial recognition.
Okay.
Next, we had a burglary at the Walmart on Saxon. D1 was observed pulling on door handles of multiple vehicles in the Walmart parking lot. No entry was obtained. Video footage was seen and confirmed the male was walking around the parking lot, stopping at multiple vehicles. Patrol did a fantastic job with this, gathering and collecting evidence and making the arrest on this individual. This individual, CH, 2 felony arrests, 0 convictions prior to this incident. Burglary at Rayston Street. V1 noticed a pair of pants on the roof of her son's maroon Honda. A review of the video footage observed two males try the door handles, then enter the son's vehicle. Unknown male rummaged through the vehicle, but V1 determined nothing was taken. This was left with CID.
And that's the one of the three that we spoke about.
From the black Volkswagen.
As far as DV robberies, we were 3 for 3 CBA.
So when we took DV robbery, the rules have been changed of how we report crime now. You know, it used to be if it was a domestic violence case, it was domestic violence, and that's how it was coded. Now, what we see is it's domestic violence, and the victim goes to call the police, and the perpetrator takes the cell phone. Now it is charged as a robbery. So you would go from maybe 16, what I would call a regular robbery, where somebody comes up and robs you, to now any domestic where something is taken, it's charged as a robbery. Now, we clear it, it means he made an arrest on it, but the robbery numbers go up because of all those domestic robberies, and we have a lot of domestic robbery, a lot of domestic violence that turns into a quote-unquote robbery.
Motor vehicle theft on Windsor Heights. V1 reported a vehicle was stolen overnight by an unknown person. Orange County notified us that the vehicle was recovered in the morning. They don't have any suspects. They did process the vehicle for us. Neighborhood canvass completed. Deputies obtained video of an unknown suspect that's still active to patrol. We had 2 motor vehicle thefts. They were cleared by arrest. They're unrelated to our Kia thefts. Another motor vehicle theft of note on Hendricks Terrace. W1 observed another male emerge from behind his fenced backyard. This is the one where 2 males were trying to push our victim's ATV from the backyard to the front yard. The victim confronted the suspects. They took off in an older model Chevy or GMC pickup truck. This was given to CID.
Yeah, we probably want to clear this with the rest. We got pretty good leads. So the victim had a friend and asked him for help to move a shed from the backyard. So he brought two individuals with him who are prolific criminals, and obviously they saw this nice ATV there, so decided to go and steal it at night. They weren't able to. We got fingerprints from the steering column. Still waiting on them, but some of these 2 suspects are prolific criminals. One is Christopher Bebeau. He's got 20 and 7 on felony convictions. The other one's got 13 felony convictions. His friend is also a criminal. He's got 7 felony charges, no convictions yet, but one of their vehicles was captured in our LPR, so we got pretty good leads on that one.
I guess he figured it was cheap labor to hire those guys and not to remove the shed, and they would just come back and get paid more by taking the ATV.
That's true.
The Walmart on Howland, black male, black female entered the store, loaded the cart with items. They shoplifted a bunch. When the employees tried to stop them, they rammed the employees with their vehicle. CID took this over. It was cleared by arrest ×2. Shoplifting of note at the Walgreens on Normandy. A male and female entered the Walgreens. They were captured on video surveillance utilizing a key to open the case containing cologne. They made out with $1,100 worth of merchandise. They possibly left the store in a dark-colored Mercedes. This was given to CID.
So this is another national trend where they go steal from retailers and then they fence this product. They sell it either on social media or on the street. They do have a key to those displays. And from what we see, we arrested an individual last month from that same Walgreens, as a matter of fact, and they had traveled from upstate New York, and they were traveling through the interstate, through 95, and we're pretty certain they kept stealing from these Walgreens along the way. And we're able to identify him from facial recognition, and we got a warrant for his arrest. Unfortunately, he's no longer in Florida, but this is a trend that we're seeing. Either the liquor stores from Publix, where they go and steal large amounts of bottles, and they sell them in their neighborhoods. Same thing with this one. Unfortunately, the video we have is not great. We send a bulletin with their description, the video surveillance we got through area agencies. Hopefully somebody will stop the vehicle that they're traveling with and identify them. We'll clear the cases then.
For the request we got, Andrew, what Julian's talking about for next week, that's. I don't know if you're already on top of that.
Yeah, we're compiling that.
Okay. Good. Lieutenant.
Publix liquor store on Saxon Boulevard. This was a significant theft. S1 and S2 utilized a ruse and removed numerous bottles of liquor totaling $1,157. They were seen fleeing in a white-colored SUV. This was given a CID as well.
So in this one, same trend. We do have a vehicle description. We have a tag on this vehicle. It's an SUV with a Virginia tag. We entered that tag into our database. It's a felony vehicle right now, and it's triggering LPRs in Orlando. So once it triggers one, law enforcement in the area will stop that vehicle, identify these two individuals. I believe they're from out of state because we ran them through facial recognition and we didn't get anything. But they're definitely in Florida. They're in Central Florida. It's a matter of time before somebody stops them and IDs them.
Last significant theft of note, we had a theft of motor vehicle on Page Drive. While on patrol, deputies encountered two juvenile males wearing all black and ski masks, one of whom was carrying a pink purse. Deputies determined the purse and a credit card belonging to V1 had been taken from her vehicle without permission. This was cleared by arrest ×2. It was both juveniles. Patrol did a fantastic job with proactive police work and apprehending these two juveniles.
They did a really good job. Two 15-year-olds. Carla, what do you know about the two 15-year-olds?
First of all, it happened at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that lets you know that these kids are out all hours of the night. It doesn't make any difference. There's no time for them. Again, these two kids, they were also in the civil citation program currently for other charges that occurred, but now they've picked up these felony charges for a car break.
So you can continue on. What's going on? What are you seeing with the juveniles? What's going on with our assessment center? What do you got?
For the year of 2023, we had 1,880 kids come through our center from agencies throughout the entire circuit. And as the sheriff said, we've seen an increase with our drug tests with kids having fentanyl and meth and morphine in their system when they come in for a drug test. Parents are struggling because we're seeing an increase with human trafficking with the young girls. They don't understand it. And being that Florida does not have a runaway law, that's why we have a high population of girls going missing, and nothing can be done about it because they can walk in the front door and walk out the back door once we take them.
You want to elaborate on that? Because I think when people hear human trafficking, they think people being snatched off the street and forced into what's going on. You want to elaborate on that? Because that's a horrible myth that's out there.
Yeah. Human trafficking does not mean that you are taken off the street. Human trafficking is the new form of prostitution. The girls are staying in hotels. The guys and women, they're taking the girls, getting hotel rooms, letting them spend the day at amusement parks, and then at night they perform the services for what they reaped earlier in the day. So it'll be a couple with kids playing and no one will think anything about it, but at night, that's when they do their work. So it's just...
And what they're doing is like gang recruitment.
Yes.
They find kids from low-income areas who may be low in the birth order, their parents don't care, not paying attention, take them out to get their nails done, take them out to get their hair done, buy them a new pair of sneakers, introduce them to older men that they think are treating them really well, and the next thing you know, they're involved in a sexual relationship.
And they're recruiting one another. So the recruiting is like, oh, yeah, come with me. We can go here. We can do this. We can do that. And so we have a group that we're dealing with currently.
And to your point, we are one of the only states that don't have a runaway law, meaning that a kid can run away, we find them, bring that kid home, and the kid tells his parents, F off, and goes out the back door, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And the kid's reported missing again.
Sheriff, thank you for clarifying that, because there's some misinformation
going around Deltona saying that Deltona is one of the highest. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, because there's some misinformation going around in the city of Deltona, identifying Deltona to be one of the worst human trafficking city in Volusia County. And I have parents coming to me concerned about that, grandparents as well. And I just couldn't understand where they were getting this wrong information. So thank you. I know we brought this up at the last CompStat meeting, but we didn't have the media there because of the change. It was held at the center. And thank you so much for clarifying that, because it will make a lot of parents much easier knowing that this is not happening in the city of Deltona. The kids are being snatched by white, yellow, blue, or green vans around the schools or just walking around the street. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
If you live your life in social media, that's where you think.
But it's not coming from social media. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. But we can just tell you the way it is. And again, people say we don't get any information, yet we hold forums throughout the county. And unfortunately, the one we held here, 8 people showed up. You guys were here, Mayor was here, you guys were here, and we talked about all of this stuff, the dangers of the internet with our kids, what's going on, and you guys can't hold a gun to somebody's head to make them show up. So.
But there was a lot of parents who were very scared.
Well, when somebody, like anything else, it's instead of calling to the source and saying, hey, can we find this information out, everybody keeps spreading that rumor, and it's not true.
Thank you.
What else you got?
As far as domestic violence, we are starting to see that the kids are calling 911 because their parents are fighting. So it's taking off in a different direction now. Kids are getting older. Parents have been probably fighting for years, and the kids are now starting to get law enforcement involved where we hadn't seen that before.
Do you want to talk about human trafficking, sex crimes against children, all the stuff that we do involving this?
Yes, sir. So the Child Exploitation Unit, which investigates all sexually exploited children crimes, and this is specific to the Deltona area. For the whole 2023, we haven't had one human trafficking case.
Say that again?
Not one human trafficking case reported to us.
Okay.
The unit itself investigated 64 cases, and this is when the child is sexually exploited in some capacity. 10 arrests were made, with 15 additional arrest warrants being sought. That doesn't mean the difference. Nothing will happen. They could be unfounded, or they're still in process.
Right.
In addition to that, there was 5 NCMEC ICAC cases, which is tips from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children of child pornography. Of those, we executed 5 search warrants. 4 arrests were made, and unfortunately, the 5th person was identified and then committed suicide.
Okay. Very good.
Just to circle back on the robbery stats.
Yep.
For 2023, the first half, just for Deltona, there was 30 offenses reported, and then 30 cleared, so 100% clearance rate. And then the second part, there was 25 DV robberies with 24 cleared, and 28 non-DV robberies with 25 cleared, with an 89% clearance rate.
Very good. So if you come to Deltona, you commit a crime, you're getting locked up. That's the bottom line. Thank you for those stats. Omar, is there anything else you want to touch on?
Just a few more things.
Yeah.
Can I get the last slide of the PowerPoint, please? So, Sheriff, obviously, we encourage our deputies to be proactive out there in the field. When these Kia thefts started occurring, we started ramping that up a bit. In particular, one of our patrol shifts, Charlie shift, really stepped up their game. And, for example, the day after Thanksgiving, their proactive efforts yielded 16 arrests. December 13th, their proactive efforts yielded 15 arrests. And on the 19th of December, they had 13 arrests, and they recovered 2 of our stolen Kias. So that shift in particular did a fantastic job. This right here is our traffic stats for the month. As you can see, our traffic units had 242 citations and issued 52 warnings. Combined, the aggregate total between patrol and our traffic unit, we had 843 citations, and then year to date, almost 3,400 citations with almost 1,000 warnings given by our traffic unit.
Very good. You guys really were off the chart when the Kia theft started, because I remember coming in and reading, I think Christmas Eve, I don't know how many tickets you wrote on Christmas Eve. There were not many some people weren't too happy.
Yes,
because the
sir.
Grinch was out there. What else you got? Anything else?
That's all I got.
Eric, you want to touch on what we got narcotics-wise?
Absolutely. Good morning, Sheriff.
Morning.
Thank you. My name is Eric Dietrich. I'm the captain of our special investigations, which encompasses our narcotics investigations for the county. The city of Deltona has a narcotics task force called the Deltona Narcotics Enforcement Team, referred to as DNET. They had a very productive year for 2023. They completed 142 cases. They made 96 arrests, which is up 29% from 2022, where they made 69. They completed 88 undercover operations, which encompasses search warrants and undercover buys, which is up 25% from 2022. They seized over 4,000 grams of cocaine, which is up 70% from 2022, and they seized almost 1,000 grams in fentanyl, which is up 40% over 2022. The total narcotics value for their efforts for the year, they seized $273,000 worth of narcotics from the city, which is up 48% over the previous year. During the year, they also conducted 2 alcohol and vape operations. We usually do those when the kids get out of school. One was conducted in June, where we targeted 21 stores on the west side of the county. 7 of those in Deltona did sell to us when we sent an underage individual inside, and they were cited and reported appropriately to the state. In December, again, we focused on 21 stores on the west side of the county. 4 of those in Deltona sold. So we did see a decrease. They were appropriately cited and reported to the state. During the month of July, we were able to secure a location that we were able to do a undercover contractors op, where we had contacted 15 individuals and have them respond to the house to see if they would engage in any kind of work that requires a license. And out of those 15, we were able to make 3 arrests. So we did see some compliance with that. Those individuals were cited, and again, they were reported to the state as well. One of the other things I want to talk about is, in addition to DNET, we also have a upper-level narcotics task force that encompasses work throughout the entire county. They're called the Volusia Bureau of Investigation. They conduct long-term investigations into drug trafficking organizations. They did so with 2 this year. I'm going to touch on one of them that was actually centered out of Deltona. I'm sorry, it was centered out of DeLand. It culminated with the execution of 9 search warrants on the west side of the county. None of those search warrants were in Deltona, and the arrest of 34 people that were involved in that fentanyl trafficking ring. 7 of the arrests were Deltona individuals, so there were 7 individuals here living in Deltona that were operating in that ring that the Volusia Bureau of Investigation took down, that were obviously funneling that fentanyl into the community. Those all were arrested. The majority of them have already pled out and been sentenced, and the ones that haven't are awaiting their sentence. That was a very productive investigation that they conducted, which leads me into our overdose numbers. For the year in 2023, we did see with a decrease in the overdose throughout the countywide. So for countywide numbers for the year 2023, unfortunately, we had 238 deaths. But that actually is down 20% from the previous year, where we had 298. So we are seeing a difference in the efforts that we're taking and reducing those numbers. For the city of Deltona, we also did see a decrease in the amount of deaths in the city of Deltona. So in 2022, the city experienced 30 overdose deaths, and in 2023, they experienced 25, which represents roughly a 17% decrease. Deltona is the largest city in the county, population-wise. So to give you an idea, they do not lead the city, and as far as the various cities, they rank number 3 behind Daytona and DeLand. So that, again, based on the population of Deltona, I think things are going as best we can here. Of course, we'd like to see those numbers at 0, but unfortunately, that would be a very tall task to do, but we're still fighting on that and moving forward with that. In addition to combating the overdose numbers, Well, one of the things that the sheriff began in October of this past year was collectively he formed an overdose task force. So he has taken assets from my division and Captain Cameron's Investigative Services Division, where we've actually paired up narcotics detectives with detectives with a homicide background, and they specifically work nothing other than the overdoses that are occurring in the areas of the county. So their entire caseload is specifically driven by the overdoses. Whether the individual lives or dies, they're the ones that actually will go out and investigate those cases so they can donate 100% of their time on those cases. Over the 3 months that since we've established that in October, through collaboration with the Overdose Task Force and the Narcotics Task Forces, they've successfully identified 5 individuals that were responsible for overdoses that they were able to work with us, and while they are conducting their homicide investigation to link those individuals, those dealers, to those deaths, we are conducting a narcotics investigation in them to quickly get them off the street and lock them up, and we were successful in doing that in 5 of them, to where we were able to set up undercover deals and purchase narcotics from them, or to capture them and take them into custody, which furthers the investigation for the homicide detectives in Captain Cameron's realm.
So first of all, I just want to pass on that the fact that you are now wearing flannel, you are absolutely considered a narcotics commander. That's what was floated around yesterday. But a lot of times people see things on the street, you see the SWAT team out there, there's a raid, oh my God, I need to know what happened. Well, I understand that need, but every time you see that, it's because we're doing these operations. And all of those things are tied to the bigger picture. And it's a narcotics portion you're seeing, but the detectives are trying to put together a homicide investigation, and the last thing you want to advertise is, hey, we just served a warrant, seized all these drugs, and this guy is a suspect in selling fentanyl that killed 2 people, because now you can't go after what's above him because everybody's going to pack up the tent. So a lot of the stuff that you'll see it, oh my God, what are they doing out there? There's very little bit of information because we can't put that information out there. So you understand that. And the other thing I'll say, and I don't want to blow my own horn here, but you heard all that was going on in the narcotics end. The city of Deltona doesn't pay for a majority of that. You pay for basic services. With those basic services, the entire sheriff's office comes behind that. I just want to say that because I hear this argument that really, I think it's a slap in the face to my deputies. We need our own police department. Well, I hope you're ready to pony up $35 million and hire 150 cops in an era where you can't hire cops because of the weight that comes behind what we do. Just me pontificating, but I think it's an insult to all the hard work to say we can do it better. Just me talking. What else you got, Omar?
Hey, Sheriff.
Paul?
Just on Captain Dietrich. So far, the Overdose Task Force has filed 1 murder charge on a source of supply, and they have 3 cases that are currently being reviewed by HIU.
And at least one of them is here.
Yes. Yep. Also, the other side of the Overdose Task Force is outreach and referrals. You partnered us up with the Volusia Recovery Alliance. They've reached out to 15 different families involved in all this, and they're still in contact with them. Of note, on Tuesday of this week, I participated in the accreditation process for the Volusia Recovery Alliance. It seemed like it went really well, but the staff was so complimentary about the relationship between us, and they said they haven't seen anything like it.
When you talk about a grassroots organization that started with moms of overdose victims and just took it and put it on steroids. I mean, they are all over the county to try to bring as many resources as you know are lacking for the families, and then try not only to break the cycle, but be there to help us in any way they can. I'm really proud that we have that in our county, grassroots organization. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I want to publicly apologize because I've been on team Get a Police Department, and I'm sorry that I was on that wrong team. I was on the wrong team. I know, thank you. The fentanyl issue, like you say, is so dear to my heart. 2 years ago, my son was in treatment. He was doing very well. He made a left turn in Orange County. A transient and him hooked up, and he thought he was getting one thing, and he got fentanyl. What I learned through that experience of losing my son was that fentanyl, the dogs are not able to detect it through the deputy that gave me this information. Maybe it's changed since then. But fentanyl is pretty much undetectable, and it comes through the airports, it comes through the post office, it comes through borders that are open. And perhaps that's changed in 2 years. I don't know. But we have no way of protecting our young people, especially when it's in a vape or something like that, that kids just think they're getting THC or they're getting something that's innocent, and it's ending their lives. And so to me, fentanyl is a huge, huge issue because it's impacted my family personally, and I'm on team anything that wants to end the unnecessary deaths of a drug that cannot be traced, tracked, or identified. And just down the street from me, we had a fentanyl raid. I learned later it was a fentanyl raid. I was coming through early in the morning, and there was SWAT and police and everything, and of course I do my little investigative work. Found out it was a fentanyl raid. Unfortunately, that house is 2 doors down from a middle school and a high school bus stop. If you think that our kids are immune to these kinds of things, when you have a fentanyl house 2 doors down from a bus stop of a middle school and a high school, kids know these things. They know them. They talk to each other, and they identify where the dealers are. And then they don't realize that just a little bit will end their life.
Well, we're hopeful that that person, we're going to end his life, because he's one of the people that they're looking to get indicted for murder, for selling. So, Brian?
Good morning. Brian Henderson, Chief Deputy. I'm terribly sorry to hear about your son. Unfortunately, I guarantee you, if you were to ask people in this room if they know somebody or are connected to somebody who has either overdosed or died of an overdose, I think you'd see every hand in this room go up. I'm born and raised in Volusia County. I went to public schools in Volusia County, and a lot of the folks that I graduated from are no longer living because of the pill epidemic and now what's turned into the fentanyl. And when we hear about fentanyl, I think some people think, you know, we're talking about pharmaceutical grade. That's not the case, and I know we're on TV, so I want to clarify this. This is fentanyl being made in China and other countries and being imported into our country. The sheriff and I had the opportunity to travel to the southern border recently, and we witnessed firsthand the complete failure of what is happening on our southern border. Make no mistake about it. What's not happening on that border is affecting this community and every other community in this country. And when I talk about drugs being imported into the country, we're not talking about small amounts. We're talking about metric tons. And that's killing our sons, our daughters, our kids in the school. So we're committed to that. To answer your question about canines, our canines are able to alert for fentanyl. We make patrols out there. We have dogs deployed in Deltona. They frequently are making car stops, and they're seizing drugs off the street. Captain Dietrich talked about the operations that VBI, our Volusia Bureau of Investigation, and our DNET teams have done. It's important to understand that when we arrest people for fentanyl, a lot of these people are going to prison for significant amounts of time. I know in that case that he spoke about, some of the quantities that we seize result in 25-year minimum mandatory prison sentences. So, you know, I hope there's people listening right now that know if you get caught with 4 grams, which is not a lot, 4 grams or more of fentanyl, regardless if you've ever been to jail, received a ticket, you're going to go to prison for 3 years. The judge has no say in that. Doesn't matter who you are, how you got there, doesn't matter what you look like or what you intend to do in life, you're going to go to prison. So, is there any other questions that you had?
I was going to, sorry, Brian. I was going to have Eric. What we suspected that one group out of the land was bringing in how many kilos of fentanyl a month?
10 kilos.
You turn that up.
We estimated that they were bringing in 10 kilos a month.
So that's one group of 30-some-odd individuals just in our area, 10 kilos of fentanyl a month, and multiply that out through the rest of the country. One of the things, Brian, I wanted him to touch on it, and I didn't tell him to say this. When we were down there and we asked, how many investigators do you have on the border investigating this stuff coming in? We have more narcotics investigators in the city of Deltona than the federal government had in the McAllen, Texas sector. It was shocking and appalling to hear that they had something like 4 or 5 investigators. We have 3 times that number just in the city, not countywide. So that's really an issue.
May I
Yes.
share information?
Because you brought up Recovery Alliance, this is information also. I work a lot with Karen, who is the head of Recovery Alliance. They now meet at Human Hope Services twice a week. And also they're collecting gently used clothes for women, or ladies that are being helped to bring them out of the drug and stuff like that. So if you wanted more information on that, I can get it for you. But there is help here in Deltona. They started working with New Hope Human Services about a year or 2 years ago. So if you want information about that, I can give it to you.
I want to ask Captain Cameron to talk about the incident that occurred where Deputy Ethan Thomas was shot in the face, and Sergeant Jimmy Stone, even though he had a shield, took shrapnel into his lips. So, Paul, you want to give us what happened? We got a video for you to see and everything else.
Yes, sir. So on the morning of December 20th, about 4:30 in the morning, communications was alerted by the Wawa that a known patron of theirs came in, stole a pack of cigarettes, and then head out the door. Patrol deputies, as usual, identified the suspect and found the vehicle right away. They attempted a traffic stop. He fled. Shortly thereafter, stop sticks were deployed, and they hit the tires. He continued on to his house, which was at 3230 White Horse Court. They surrounded the vehicle, attempted to talk him out, de-escalation techniques. Couldn't get him to do anything. So they decided at some point to approach the vehicle. As they're approaching, shots were fired. Luckily, they had the shield and the equipment that's been provided to them, because we, without a doubt, been burying at least one cop.
Oh, Mark, can you hold that up for us, please, Lieutenant? We were able to purchase one of these for every single sergeant in the county. So there's 66 sergeants, so that in a call like that, sergeant's going to show up, they have a shield that can stop up to a rifle round. And Sergeant Stone had that as they approached the vehicle.
Yep. It's the one he had is currently in FDLE's evidence, but right in the visor of the viewfinder there, you can see where the round struck it, right at his head level. Right there. Yep, right there. So they backed off of the vehicle. He stayed inside the vehicle. He's playing around in the vehicle. They call out all the additional resources, SWAT, negotiators, everybody. They surround the house. At some point, he starts igniting a fire inside his vehicle, which then gets into he gets into the garage. That starts going up on fire. The whole house goes up on fire. Eventually, he goes out to the back porch, and SWAT's able to help him down off the porch, and he's taken into custody. He spent about 2 weeks intubated in ICU. He's currently now in the branch jail on 3 attempted murder charges. The fire marshal has unofficially ruled this an arson, with the accelerant being gasoline from the garage. He's had 2 felonies, 0 convictions, 1 misdemeanor, and 1 misdemeanor conviction of fleeing and eluding, and he was previously Baker acted in 2023.
So a lot of people saw this on the news, and I think it's important to point out that you have probably one of the best fire departments down here. You know, a lot of us have been doing this a long time, and I think it's probably the first time that we've ever been in a situation where the fire department is in a very dangerous situation, meaning there's still a potentially armed individual in a house, and they're fighting a fire, you know, quite honestly, to preserve the property around the bad guy's house. So I think you really should be proud of the firefighters. Video?
Yeah. Here's some body camera footage we placed together.
says passenger door will open.
That's Sergeant Stone with the shield, as you can see.
Speak with us.
All right, we're gonna go up and hopefully I'm gonna. I got my window punch ready. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see. We might be able to get him out before we do that.
Down and speak with us.
Just keep talking to him.
Deputy, roll your driver's side window down and speak with us.
Open the door. What's that? You what?
What he's saying is President Biden had pardoned me. He keeps saying that over and over again.
The what? Pardon? All right, you want to pardon? Okay, well, open the door and we'll talk. Show me your pardon paperwork. Well, you got to show it to me. What's that? All right, well, open your door and talk to us. All right, we're about to bust the windows open. Okay. All right. You want to come on your left? No, you can go on my. You can go on my right. It's good. Or yeah, here, go on my left. Go ahead. I got him. You ready? Bust it all the way. All the way. Go. Hit again. You okay?
Shot. Central shot fired. Suspect's in a vehicle. We got a deputy injured. Now.
Here. Where you at? Okay, let's just start stripping this shit. You're doing good. Very good, buddy. Buddy, you're doing great, man. You're doing good, dude. You're doing good, man. I can't believe I got shot today. Hey, you're good, dude. That's
Still moving inside the vehicle.
Hey, get.
Hey, just turn the truck back off. Hands up down! Put the gun down!
No, I think I'm good.
Hands up!
Hey, LT, I got the shield, but.
Hands up down! Deputy, light the car on fire is not going to be the answer. We're going to come in there and get you out of there and put it all out. So you're just wasting your time with that.
It's lighting on fire, yep. Yep.
Why don't you come on out? Your son wants you to come out. We need you to come out right now.
Yeah, walk.
We're not going away tonight. We're going to be here until we have to.
He was in the truck trying to set a fire multiple times. There's people in the SWAT vehicle are saying he's lighting up papers or something inside of the truck.
You need to walk out of the house with your hands up. Deputy, your kids are worried about you right now. We've got flames in the garage from the attic. Flames in the garage from the attic.
He sets the fire in the garage, gets up into the attic, and drops down where that smoke plume's coming out of the vent there to your right-hand side.
Walk out the front door right now, Deputy, or climb out the window, do something. One more.
Now, the whole house is engulfed in flames except for the back portion, and he's back on that back deck, screaming at us, telling us it's on now, it's on now. He had probably 4 or 5 firearms in there and a whole bunch of ammunition. Pardoned by Joe Biden. I want to tell you this publicly. Your fire department trains very hard, and they train very hard with us. You got an incident where you got a guy who's off his rocker, shot a cop in the face. He's got plenty of ammunition and firearms in his house. That's why he wanted to get back in to continue the standoff. And your firefighters were there trying to protect the rest of that neighborhood, knowing there was an armed crazy man inside of that house with access to firearms, while we were basically trying to do what we could do to be human shields. That takes a lot of guts and a lot of training. And I think you folks in city government need to know that. That is not an easy situation. We got guns, we got vests, we have all this equipment. They're there with their bunker gear and fire hoses trying to make sure that fire didn't spread to any other structure. And you guys have to know that. We're going to commend them in June when we do our annual thing, but you guys should be aware and hear it from somebody who was there and watched firsthand how they did their job, knowing at any minute that guy could pop out and start firing. That's my second time I pontificated today, but I want you to know that. Yeah, there were. Until the fire started, then we had to get the stuff out of there. So, just you never know. With all your training, you just never know. With all the toys you have, all the equipment you have, all the training you go through, there's always that unknown. Who would have thought he could have got up into that attic the way the truck was? But he managed to get up in there, you know? So, but again, I really do want to say that, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. 36 years of policing, what your fire department did, and we train with them. You got to make sure that they know. I think they know it. You guys treat them well, but they got to know it. So, anybody have any other questions?
Sure. A couple comments. You know, as a citizen here and as an elected official in town, I will do everything I can to support all your people. You guys do an extraordinary job in Deltona. Anything I could do for, whether it's the sheriff's department, fire department, I will do anything I can to help you out. Your officers, extremely, I mean, that was insane. For that to happen and for them just not to end this whole situation, which they could have with a shot from the gentleman that was sitting in the woods and the tree line and anybody else, that the restraint your officers showed, it just shows the leadership that they have. It's commendable. It's top notch. You guys do the best, and I see it all over the city, and I just appreciate it. And to end this comment, we don't need a police department either. I'm happy as hell with what you guys do.
Thank you. We will tell you he is now a guest of the branch jail due to his injuries. We didn't think he was going to survive because he had really seared his lungs, but he was airlifted to ORMC, and they sent him back to us, and he's now residing in the branch jail.
Well, it's a good place for him. I like when you welcome the people to your house. Are you still running into judges that should be on your scumbag of the week list? And one other thing is,
we've been pretty good lately.
I wish you would also continue your list of people that get arrested and put them on your scumbag of the week list. That way, other small businesses and people in town, we get to see their faces. A lot of people don't sit around; they have other lives than to sit on Facebook all day long. They like to see the mug shots out there. That way, people can recognize them, and we know a lot of these people are scumbags. So I wish you would go on and push your scumbag of the week.
Our public information folks who are back there do a fantastic job putting all the videos out, all of that stuff out there for everybody to see. It's there every day. He's putting stuff out there on what's going on. You know, I will say to you, to get back to the fentanyl issue, we served a search warrant, was it yesterday? Wednesday morning? Yesterday morning on a woman in Daytona who is is a suspect in at least 2 deaths there. She was arrested by Daytona 2 weeks prior. They did a nice job. The bond was $345,000, and she made bond and then managed to sell again and killed somebody. So even with that, great police work and a bond, who would think that she's going to make a 300, she had to post 10%, but still, and then goes right back to it and kills somebody. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so 2 things. One, to follow up to that, maybe people aren't aware, when my son was in the hotel room with this transient person, this person left him dead or dying. And he's transient, the police cannot find him, and in Florida, it is illegal for you to leave someone dead or dying and not report it. And so when that person is apprehended at some point in time, there could be a murder charge if they're able to find him. The family is not wanting to help in any way. My last comment, Sheriff, is one that I'm glad to see there's 3 commissioners here and an acting manager. Your substation is an armpit, and the only way that that is going to be resolved for you and your deputies is through our city commission. You need major upgrade to that facility. It is just, I've been there several times, and I'm embarrassed for you. And I really hope that the 3 commissioners that are here and the acting city manager that is here will hear the need for you to have upgrades to that facility.
Thank you. I can tell you that they have been working with us to try to get a location for us, and it's obviously it's not easy, but they have recognized that, and they have definitely been out. We've met. How many times do you think you guys have met with? Multiple times, yeah. Sorry, Commissioner.
Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. On a lighter note, I'm a child of the 60s, and I see a lot of stuff right now that's blowing my mind, particularly as it comes to THC sales. I saw my first television commercial today. Don't forget Mom. We recently issued a business license to a mobile truck, like an ice cream truck that goes around selling THC products. I got no problem with it, but I want to know, has your office received any complaints or concerns from our citizens regarding the mobile sales of THC trucks? No? The world just keeps getting better.
Not the day.
Thank you.
But to get to this young lady's point, I can't think of what governor it was. I think it was Scott that signed that Good Samaritan Act, saying that if you're with somebody who's overdosing and you call 911, you're exempt from criminal prosecution, because what happened to her son is what has happened to countless families, not only in our community, but throughout the nation, where, oh my God, he's overdosing, I got to get out of here, when if they called 911, that person would still be here. So. Yes, Moritz.
Thank you so much for showing that video, and I'm glad to see some of the residents that came to our meeting here present. Not everything that happens behind the scenes between the Sheriff's Department and the commissioners is advertised or put out there on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff that we work with the Sheriff's Department to support them 100, maybe 200%. I know that the interim city manager and I have spoken about a certain spot in the city of Deltona, but it's not easy. I've spoke to Sheriff Chitwood about this building as well. There's still hope that we can do something about it, and we're not going to give up. But on a personal note, I want to thank all of you guys. You all know how I feel about the Sheriff's Department. I support you 200%. I was part of the research when the city of Deltona first looked into opening up its own police department. We couldn't even afford to start looking into a police department. People think that it's so easy, just open up a new police department and bring in. We have to pay for their salary. We have to buy our own transportation patrol cards. all that equipment you saw there, we would have to pay for all that, not including their salary, their insurance, their life insurance. You know, and who pays for that? Our taxpayers pay for that. We couldn't even afford to increase our stormwater, which was about $25, $30 a year. So imagine how much more taxes we would have to increase in the city of Deltona just to pay for this department, just this one. So I appreciate everything they do, and I listen to all the residents. I respect every resident's opinion, but I think they need to look a little bit, research more. This goes back to former Mayor Dennis Mulder, I think it was, when we started looking and doing a research on the possibility of bringing in a police department. And I was a resident, I was not an elected official, but since I moved here, I've been involved, like you, with the city meetings. And when we saw the figures just to even open up our own building, it was unbelievable. So just an FYI out there on a comment, excuse me, a comment from a citizen's point of view. I also want to thank you so much for putting our, acknowledging our fire department. Some people, you know, think so little of our first responders. It's really a shame to even think about the way people here in the city of Deltona talk about our first responders. But on a personal, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I'm 200% in favor of our sheriff's department as well as our fire department. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I do want to say that that one SWAT truck that you saw there blocking the car in the driveway, that was purchased by me specifically for the city because I couldn't afford to wait for the one that we have one. We had one that was stationed out of training. I couldn't wait for that sometime to come out here for dynamic situations. So we bought another one, and it's stationed out here that they don't pay for. It's a $400,000 vehicle that's out there.
But I offer you my driveway.
I know. We can't do that. The Rook was another piece. That Caterpillar thing is something that we bought. Yeah, it's used county-wide, but again, you guys have access to everything that we have. And I'll close with this. Number one, thank all my deputies and my command staff for what they do. Number two, you don't hear this enough. Of all the cities that we have great relationships with our city, Deltona is where almost everybody who comes here and works here, when they get promoted, they all want to come back here. And that says something to who the people are and who the leadership is. They know that we're going to get support. They know this is a great place to work. And there's a lot of people in this room whose career began here, who are promoted to the rank of sergeant or lieutenant or captain or detective or whatever they are, and they request, when we ask them, they request, I want to go back to Deltona. Why is that? You have to ask yourself that.
Except for the guy that wanted to go to the beach.
Well, you know, let me tell you, he couldn't go faster on you guys. He said, the beach, I'm going back to where I first became a cop. So, good point.
There's coffee.
Yeah, well, make sure your folks get coffee and everything. Thank you for the way you treat us. You know, we'll look forward to seeing you in February. We'll give you a more comprehensive thing about the crimes and the drops. But thank you all again. Thank you very much. Good job, Omar. Eric, good job.